you put in the time to look at your fitness regime, what you're putting in your mouth, the types of workouts you're doing, your hydration, you're really big on supplementation, and you're really big on measuring things. And I think that's a big tip for a lot of people is if you're not going in once to maybe twice, I don't know how many times you do it a year, Andrew, to get full blood panels done to see where are your hormone levels, like what's your estrogen, what's your testosterone, what's your cholesterol, what's your vitamin D, what all the different things that are going on, and you're not working with somebody, it's really easy to get off track and have things sneak up on you. And I think that if maybe you're not taking care of yourself in the way that you should be, and you're listening to us or watching us, and you're thinking, I'm going to start taking this more seriously. One of the first things I would recommend to you is go find a doctor that specializes in longevity and get your baselines done. Find out where you're starting today, because there's nothing more motivating than going back and doing it 6 months later or a year later and seeing all the progress that you made from making changes in your lifestyle.
That's a really, 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 really good point. Glad you brought up. So you've got to know your numbers, right? So This is one of those things where you're right. If you don't, we know this from being in the business and marketing world, you and I, how we met. You can never grow what you don't track, right? Why would that not be the same case for fitness and for health and longevity and wellness? And you're absolutely right. And I want to explain the really critical difference between the type of doctor that you want to use for this and the type of doctor you want to just run for cover from, because the medical industrial complex in America is even more broke than the food system in America, to be frank. They're neck and neck, right? So there's a traditional medical doctor, which of course, if you break a leg, you need to go to a doctor, right? If you catch, I don't know, pneumonia and you want to go to urgent care and you need antibiotics, you go to a traditional doctor. These are on the surface type stuff, right? And if you go to your traditional doctor and you want to get blood work done, they're going to give you the basics like cholesterol, your PSA, which is prostate stuff for men, estrogen for women, really basic overview of the blood. Great, get it all. But if you really want to amp this up, you need to see a functional medicine doctor, not a traditional medicine doctor. And there's a very big difference. And you can go to a website. We'll put it in the notes. It's called and I'm a member of this organization. It's called the International Functional Medicine Federation. It's one of those big agencies that are nonprofit, non-funded by pharma, right? Non-funded by the government, just good old International Academy of Functional Medicine. I'll put it in the show notes down below, right? So functional medicine is all about how do we get the body to work the way nature intended for it to work. So if there's something wrong with the body, we don't go to medicine first, we go to lifestyle first. These are the same guys and gals that will give you what's called a male hormone panel or a female hormone panel. Aaron, you're 47, I'm 51. I can't even tell you how many guys our age, I'm shocked, even guys at 40, have never had a male hormone panel done, which will give you testosterone, estrogen, growth hormone, cholesterol numbers, thyroid big. What's going on with the thyroid regulates the whole body. People have no idea. This is like owning a Ferrari and having absolutely no idea if you have oil in the car, no idea if it has gas, no idea how fast it goes, no idea when the engine was put in, no idea if new parts are needed. A Ferrari. Would you buy a Ferrari for $350,000 and literally have no idea what's going on inside that thing? Think about that for a minute.
You'd think you were insane. And this is one of the benefits of actually going and being proactive about this stuff is when I was 40, I just started to feel off, right? And then you start asking people, I just feel off. Oh, you turned 40. Yes. It's all downhill from here. You're 40. You know, you're 1 foot in the grave. Like people joke about it, but it wasn't something that I was willing to accept. And so I went to a functional medicine doctor, got my blood panel done. He said, hey, like 90% of what
when you told me
he said 90% of what you got going on here is pretty good. He said, but your testosterone level is this equivalent of a 95-year-old man.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. And I didn't know anything about hormones at that point.
Most people do not.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
And he said, well, here's sort of a chart of like where you would be in your testosterone normally at 15 years old, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, 60. You're way over here at 95. He said, do you work out? I said, yeah. He said, do you have sex with your wife? I said, yeah. He goes, it is sheer will. It is sheer will that is allowing that to still happen in your life, because I don't even know how you get out of bed.
Well, listen, what you said, Aaron, this, by the way, This is no judgment to any men out there. Environmentally, we are in such bad condition for all the reasons we mentioned in the beginning of this podcast today, that most people have really bad testosterone, men, and women have really messed up estrogen, not for any other reason, but because of the toxic chemicals that we're swimming in from food to sky to land. A lot of this comes from the environment around us, right? A lot of it's environmental factors. Once in a blue moon, it'll be a genetic factor or some sort of weird situation where somebody just has bad hormone numbers. But for the most part, that's what it stems from. So that loops back to, hey, if we're doing the right things with food and the right things with lifestyle, and we're sleeping, walking, getting direct sunlight, your hormones are going to naturally function better. But if you're not testing the numbers, like you said, how long can you go without knowing that number? I mean, wouldn't you want to know that sooner than later? Of course you would.